Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. If you use this promo code for a discount between March 31st, 2023 and April 21st, 2023, you will automatically be entered into a sweepstakes where you could win a March of the Machine set booster box. There's also another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the link in the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. Things are a little slower this week as players begin to take in the March of the Machine previews. They're in full swing. I'm a little surprised we didn't see more cards moving because of those previews, but it's still early. I'm sure next week we'll see a lot of that. But regardless, there's still quite a few cards to discuss today. As usual, our threshold is $2. We're not going to talk about a card unless it's moving up at least $2. And before we get started, a couple quick things. First off, I want to say thank you to 3 viewers, Maddie J Mania, Todd Branch, and Whip. Thank you all for the super thanks tip that you gave for last weekend's video. Really appreciate it. Those tips really go a long way to help me make the channel better. Thank you to all 3 of you for your generosity. I truly do appreciate the support. Thank you. And one other thing, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pre-order March of the Machine products there. They have everything you see on the screen, plus the Commander decks. And they also have a sweepstakes going on as well, where you could win a set booster box from March of the Machine. There is a link in the description below for those details. Remember, if your order is over $100 or it consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. Also, whenever you use the Heroes promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Well, we don't have a standard legal spotlight to look at today. A lot of people want to see what's going to happen with March of the Machine before they look at picking up standard cards. However, there is one Pioneer legal card moving this week. Let's take a look at it. It is one that we've seen a lot of recently, Mana Confluence from Journey to Nyx. This time, though, it goes up 10-13 to 45-44. In Pioneer, it's an Abzan Grease Fang, and those decks see a lot of play. It's also in 4-color auras and more there. Modern, you see this in Dredge. Legacy, Lion's Eye Diamond Dredge. Plus, it is a big mana-based card in Commander, and it is seeing more play there now. It's in Atraxa Praetor's Voice decks, typically. Those builds are seeing even more play because of the support they received from Phyrexia All Will Be One. But Mana Confluence is also in builds around a couple popular new cards in Commander. Atraxa Grand Unifier, and the Eternal Legendary Mirror from the new set, Urtet Remnant of Memnarch. Additionally, this was in a Vazikeen Negotiator Commander deck on an Extra Turns episode of the Command Zone podcast this week, which could have brought some attention to it. That quickly brings us to the Modern Legal Spotlight. Let's see which Modern Legal cards are moving up the most this week. First, we have Giver of Runes. This is the one from the list. It goes up $2 to $15.22, and this copy is rebounding a little after it stabilized down quite a bit last week. It is trying to settle into its correct price point, but it is getting more play now in Modern. This is in the popular Modern Hammer Time deck and more there. This is also seeing increased play in Commander and Elesh Norn Mother Machines builds. Sword of Fire and Ice from Double Masters goes up $2.26 this week to $51.81. This has been seeing more play recently in Modern builds like Death in Taxes and Jeskai Stoneblade. In Legacy, sometimes this is in Mono White Hammer Time, and it's also a solid Commander card in a lot of builds. And like the last card, it's getting more play there now in some Elesh Norn Mother Machines decks. Next is Lightning Greaves. The Commander 2016 copy is up $2.01 to $12.99. The Arch Enemy copy is up $2.80 to $15.25. So these are 2 harder to find copies of the card that jumped this week, basically due to scarcity online, but really because the remaining copies out there had high asking prices. Once more copies of these types of the card enter the marketplace, I would assume these prices would come back down a little bit. There are many printings of this, and most sell for between $10 and $11. Considering the amount of printings though, that might seem expensive, but you have to consider this is a Commander staple found in tons of decks there. It's in Atraxa Praetor's Voice, for example, and it can be found in Elesh Norn Mother Machines decks too. Those of course are a couple hot builds currently. Marrow Gnar from Champions of Kamigawa. This goes up $12.54 this week to $44.99. It is a popular Commander card, and it has been seeing more play thanks to a couple new cards recently. First, Ash Coat of the Shadow Swarm, and even more recently, Karumonix the Rat King. Both those cards are found in Marrow Gnar builds, and many times Marrow Gnar is in the 99 index around those 2 cards. And the last card in this section has Spike right in the name. I don't know how we missed this one. Soul Spike goes up $13.22 to $14.49. So this has seen a tad bit of Commander play in the past, but now it's the modern format pushing this price. Recently, there was a mono black burn deck running 4 copies of this that was performing well in MTGO. Over the course of the week though, the deck has evolved a little bit into other variations. The Rakdos version seems to be the most popular right now, but regardless, they all run 4 copies of Soul Spike. The decks, as well as this card that's yet to be reprinted, are very hot. By the way, the foil of this is pretty hot right now too. It's up 1541 this week to 2497. Time for my favorite part of the video, the Eternal Spotlight. This is our salute to all Eternal formats, but mostly Commander. As a reminder, not every card in this section is going to be legal in every Eternal format, but I'll tell you where these cards are not legal: Standard, Pioneer, and Modern. First we have Mary Weatherlight Duelist from Commander 2017. This only comes in foil. It goes up $2.16 this week to $30.44. First off, it's a decent commander, and in the 99 of some decks too, like Rin and Syrian Separable, and that card is getting reprinted in the secret layer called the 90s Binder Experience. Additionally, in the future, this could play well in Commander with a card that was previewed from Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. Let's take a quick look at the card. It also happens to be one of the front-facing cards in the starter kit. It is Aragorn and Arwen Wed. Next is our first reserve list card of the day. It is Wheel of Fortune from Revised, only up 223 this week to 328.58. Small percentage increase here, but I thought it was still worth talking about. The reason why is because, like the original Dual Lands, this Revised card has seen a lot of ups and downs ever since the Magic 30th Anniversary announcement occurred. It is a solid commander card in a variety of builds, and it was mentioned on the Command Zone podcast this week as well. Ancient Tomb, this is the one from the list. It goes up 245 this week to 85.58. Now the Ultimate Masters copy is actually moving down this week. This one though, trending up. It is a big mana based card in Legacy, found in 8 cast and much more there. In Vintage, it's in Mono White Initiative and a lot of other decks there. Plus you see this in many commander builds, including a Traxxas Praetor's Voice, and it's in new decks too, like Elvish Norn Mother of Machines. Ruby Medallion, this time it's the Commander Anthology Volume 2 copy, moving up 258 this week to 35.83. It is in a variety of mono red commander builds, including one around a new Phyrexia All-Be-One card, Solfim Mayhem Dominus. Staff of the Storyteller is next. It goes up 259 this week to 848. This is from the Phyrexia All-Be-One Rebellion Rising commander deck, and it's in fresh builds around cards from there, as you'd imagine. Naali Sun's Vanguard and Othari Sun's Glory, but it's in several other commander decks too, including some new ones like Mondrak Glory Dominus and Melkader Purity Overseer, for example. Ultimately though, the format that's really moving the price on this card right now is Legacy. This is in a new tribal cat deck that has been circulating called Cat Staff, and it's in a Jeskai Shorikai Token Humility Control build. We'll have to see how these decks perform in the meta going forward, but right now there's a lot of interest in them. Remember, the Legacy meta is wide open due to the fact that 2 cards were banned recently, Expressive Iteration and White Plume Adventurer. Next is Virtue's Ruin from Portal. It goes up 263 this week to 1451. There is a From the Vault Annihilation copy of this card that hasn't really moved all that much yet, but many players don't like the From the Vault foiling. This was appearing in Legacy sideboards to deal with the Mono White Initiative builds there, but then White Plume Adventurer was banned. However, you do still see this in some vintage sideboards since Mono White Initiative builds are still prevalent there. Deranged Hermit from Urza's Legacy. This goes up $3.25 to $44. You might have noticed that some reserve list cards have been moving up again recently, like this one. This does get a little commander play. You see it in Chatterfang Squirrel General builds at times, for example. City of Traders up $358 this week to $330. This is rebounding after some recent losses. It gets a lot of play in Legacy in several decks, including the popular 5-color Sneak and Show builds that showed up after Atraxa Grand Unifier came out. Plus, it's also in a variety of commander decks. Next, we have Reanimate, the Archenemy copy up $288 to $25. The premium deck series Graveborn copy, that one only comes in foil. It is up $4 to $21.31. These harder to find copies are jumping this week. The card in general, though, has been hot because it is found in the updated Legacy Reanimator decks with Atraxa Grand Unifier. It's also in Legacy Death Shadow and Oops All Spells, and it's in a lot of different commander decks. Plus, it also showed up on some big YouTube channels this week. It was mentioned on the Command Zone podcast, and it was in an upgraded Imhotep the Stormlord commander build on Tolarian Community College's Build Your Own Precon series this week. Next is Bayou from Revised. It goes up $4 to $434.50. Like I said earlier, these revised dual lands are still turbulent. They have been ever since the 30th anniversary edition announcement, and again this week a bunch are jumping, a few are dipping as they try to find their price point. As for gameplay, these of course are all highly played in the formats where they're legal. In fact, this was in that Vazikeen Negotiator deck on the Command Zone podcast this week. King's Assassin goes up $4.02 to $19.97. It's an older card that's yet to be reprinted, and it's hard to find online right now in high grade. It is bouncing back after some recent losses, and it does get a tad bit of Commander play, but really not all that much. The scarcity is what's been driving the price here. Here's another revised dual land, as promised. It's Taiga, $4.74 to $391.99. Sarah's Sanctum is next. This is up $5.18 this week to $271.74. This is in Legacy Enchantress builds, and you do see this at times in enchantment-heavy commander decks too, like Sith's Harvest Hand, for example. Another thing to remember though, Commander Masters is bringing us an Abzan commander deck called Enduring Enchantments, and this might be a good upgrade there in the future. Plus, this could play well with a new legendary creature coming in Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. Let's take a look at that one. It is Tom Bombadil. Here is Savannah, another revised dual land of $6.77 to $359.20. Mox Opal from Scars of Mirrodin goes up $6.79 this week to $95.84. This is in Legacy 8-cast and more. Vintage, you see this in Paradoxical Outcome and 8-cast. It's also a very popular commander card too, getting more play as well in Elish Nor and Mother Machines decks. Nylea's Colossus remains hot. This goes up $7.36 this week to $19.98. Always been a solid commander card, but now it's getting more play and builds around a card from Phyrexia All-Be-One, Thrun Breaker of Silence. In fact, the professor on Tolarian Community College featured one of these builds on his Build Your Own Precon series recently, and yeah, it included this card here. He even played that deck on a Shuffle Up and Play episode as well. Beyond all that though, this also could be a good upgrade to the Enduring Enchantments deck we talked about a few moments ago, and it could play well with Tom Bombadil. Star City Games put out an article not too long ago discussing cards you might want to play with Tom, and Nylea's Colossus was one of them. The Eternal Master's copy of Mana Crypt. Now this was dipping not too long ago, rebounding and then some this week. It's up $9.18 to $209.99. It is found in lots of vintage builds, including 4-color Tinker, and it's a big commander card in many decks, including Atraxa Praetor's Voice. You see this in new builds too, like Atraxa Grand Unifier and Elish Nor and Mother of Machines. Next we have Deflecting SWAT. This goes up $9.35 this week to $59.10. This card has been dipping a lot lately because many speculated that it could see a reprint sometime soon, perhaps in Commander Masters. This week though, it is rebounding quite a bit, as you can see. It is a very popular commander card used in many different decks there, and it was in that Vazikeen Negotiator deck on the Command Zone podcast this week. Here is another revised dual land Plateau. It goes up $15.53 this week to $339.89. Soldevi Excavations. This is up $20.86 to $45.79. This card has been the target of a very public buyout, and recently more copies were bought off the marketplace. As far as gameplay goes, it really doesn't get that much. Gaia's Cradle from Urza's Saga. This has been turbulent recently too. It goes up $27.93 to $922.56. We saw this card lose a lot of value towards the end of last year, then it started to come back up, and then it dipped again. Now it's climbing again. In Legacy, this is in Elves and Maverick. In Vintage, sometimes you see this in Squee Hollowvine, and it's in a variety of commander builds. By the way, that Judge Foil continues to be a very expensive card as well. It went up $24.98 this week to $2,999.99. And our last card today happens to be another revised dual land. It is Underground Sea. This goes up $41.73 to $826.49. And that is going to do it for this episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. But if you want to know which cards have been going down in value at least $2 over the course of the week, check out the series of shorts we put out throughout the weekend. Until next time though, hey, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.